Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video we have a nice 1996 triple lock Land Cruiser. This is one of the relatives, so I'm just going to give you guys a quick tour. Early this winter they got into a accident. Another vehicle pulled out in front of them, so it ended up being the other vehicle's fault. So the insurance actually went and totaled this, because there wasn't a lot of damage, but I guess there was enough damage where they considered it total. But what I ended up doing was I ended up putting the Lexus LX450 hood and fender, painted that white, and I also went ahead and put in my old headlight on there. And then they went ahead and ordered a new ARB bumper because they couldn't find a stock bumper at that time, and there it is. It runs just good. So this is their 1996 Land Cruiser. They had this for a long time. They brought it up from California. I think it's originally from California as well. Completely framed, rust free. You know, you have your typical rust on the sideboards, but nothing crazy. Really good shape. This is Toyota white. This white here don't look pretty right now. It's a bit yellowish. But if you take the time to give it a nice wash and wax and polish and buff, it will shine up really well. Now, the owner of these folks, the owner of this cruiser, they're your typical soccer mom. They use this vehicle for a soccer mom, you know. They have kids, so they use all the second and third row seats. They use it as a daily driver, and that's what they do. It has never seen any off-roading or anything like that. And it's just a really nice cruiser. And again, 2 years ago I tried buying this from them. I told them, hey, what do you guys want for it, man? I'll buy from you guys. But you know, at that time, with older Asian people, Asian parents, they don't want to sell their vehicle unless it's like completely doomed. You know, when I heard that they wrecked it, I was like, all right, this might be the time when they might want to sell it now. And then they're like, no, we're just going to fix it up. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's not for them time to sell yet. So even that, they just kept it because it just runs. Now, it don't run the best right now. It has a typical exhaust leak on the downpipe. The downpipe on the exhaust pipe is already cracked. So it has an exhaust leak. And it just needs a tune-up. You know, it has all your typical oil leak and stuff, and it needs a tune-up. The front shocks are completely dead. They're the original Toyota shocks. These are on the original Toyota coils. Everything's original. These wheels are original. These tires they bought brand new right before they got into that accident this winter. So these tires are pretty much brand new. So this is it right here. Really nice cruiser. Nice cruiser that just needs a little bit TLC. Here's the magic button, and again, it is a triple lock. I tested already. Has 241,000 miles. When you start the vehicle, the airbags, the airbag lights are on. So I'm not sure why it's doing that. The airbags did not deploy when it got into that small wreck. But there it is. They were missing the ashtray, so I just went ahead and put I had a bunch of spares, so I went ahead and gave them one of my spares. You can see it's not colors, it's kind of faded, but really nice. The dashboard isn't cracked. The headliner is much more cleaner than mine. There's no stains or anything like that. Non-smoker, non-pets, just kids and stuff like that. If you give it, if you gave this vehicle a nice TLC, shampoo, buff and wax, this thing will shine up really nice. And again, the Toyota white, they use a, I think I forgot what it's called, but they use a the base, the clear coat is a 1 base or something like that, where if you rebuff it, the gloss will come back. So if they really gave this vehicle some little bit TLC, it would shine up really nice. But like I say, they just use it for, you know, it's a workhorse. It's not a trail workhorse, but it's a city workhorse. And then here's the ARB bumper. When they came to me, I gave them two options. I showed them the trail gear bumper, And then I also showed them the ARB bumper, and locally, Green Street Fabrication here locally, they had only the ARB bumper in stock. So I told the owner, just decided to go with the ARB, which was like $1,300 compared to $700, and you had to wait on the trail gear. So I told him that, hey, you know, if this is your vehicle you want to keep for a long time, just invest in the money and buy the ARB, because this ARB will protect them in the future if they get into any front end or they hit any kind of animals or anything like that. So you can see it fits really nice. There's still a little bit of damage from this bottom cowl, and the grill was a little bit bent up. But other than that, the damage wasn't that bad. Mostly of the damage was the broken headlight, the hood bent up, the fender bent up. The front bumper was pretty much done. The original fender, it got bent right here, so whenever you open the door, it would push, the door wouldn't open properly. So you can see why this is the Lexus LX450 fender. You can see the original color of the hood is the silver from the Lexus LX450 that I own. During the ownership of this owner, he did tell me that they replaced the engine. I'm not sure if it was a couple years ago or a few years ago, but at one time they did went ahead and replace the engine when they finally moved up to Alaska. And I believe, I'm not sure why, but I would assume that the head gasket went out. So you can see here, this engine has been replaced. And if you look at it, this is a Lexus cover. So I'm assuming this engine must have been out from a Lexus LX450, which is obviously the same thing. But that's one thing I noticed right away, and he did mention that to me a long time ago when I was interested in buying it. So this engine has been swapped out, or at least been exchanged with the new one, or somewhat new. But this one still has a completely stock engine, hasn't been modified. It's just really, really dirty. You can see it has your typical valve cover oil leaks. I think the main oil leak right now is also the Dizzy O-ring, which is the distributor O-ring. So it just needs a full tune-up. If this was my vehicle, I would give it a full tune-up. I did went ahead and test the rear heater. The rear heater doesn't work anymore. There is no motor blowing or no heat going through the back. So maybe in the future I might do a rear heater delete. And to do that, you just run a hose from that firewall straight to this metal pipe. You don't need to run down to that bottom T-pipe down there, which is what feeds the rear heater. A lot of these heater hoses looks like they're getting old and could be replaced. I did went ahead and test the AC. The AC still works, so definitely want to keep the AC. I kind of do regret removing my AC, but it's all good because it is nice to have AC when you're on the trails and it's hot and dusty and you don't want to pop your window open. I did check the air filter when it was here for the first time. Air filter was still decent, and again, it just needs a nice tune-up. If I was to give this a tune-up, I would do, they already did an oil change, but I would do a coolant flush. During that coolant flush, I would replace all the coolant hoses, even the rear heater hoses. I would give it a new air filter. I would give it new spark plugs, maybe even new spark plug wires if needed. Battery looks to be in good shape, and the owner did replace, like I said, change the oil right after last 2 weeks ago, right when I was done with the front bumper install. he took it home and did his own oil change. The other thing that came up was the EGR light was coming on, so it was throwing a code for P0401, which is an EGR. So I just went ahead and bypassed it. You cut the temp sensor off and you put a 10,000K resistor between those two wires and then plug it back into the main harness. So that's what we're gonna do for now. When it first came to me, it had a EGR delete code, which I figured it might be the exhaust system because the exhaust pipe is cracked, but it appears it's just the EGR. And then it also had a misfire. It had a misfire on cylinder 5. I cleared it, and it's been 2 weeks since the owner driven it. He brought it back, and it only the EGR code came out. So I figured the misfire is gone now, which is good. We didn't want that. He brought it back to me today because I went ahead and installed my headlight. Before that, he went ahead and bought some headlights from eBay, and he bought those Chinese headlights. And the problem with these headlights, if you guys are trying to buy these, don't buy them. The problem with these headlights is that these hose right here, they're not made for the original Land Cruiser light bulbs. So your Land Cruiser light bulbs are 9006 and 9006 for low beam, 9005 for high beam. They will not fit into these housing. And what we did for temporary was we just threw the light bulb in there and just hung around there. So we're not gonna use those anymore. We might even just sell those to somebody else. Overall, this vehicle is still in really good shape. It just needs a little bit more TLC, and hopefully the owner does that if they want this to last a long time. I truly believe that if they give it a little nice TLC, this thing will last another 200,000 miles with no issue at all. I checked the wipers and the knuckles. They don't look like they're leaking anytime soon. But if it was me, I definitely would do a knuckle rebuild. It was way more caked than that. I pressure washed it the first time it was here. This whole steering dampener was super caked up. And I also noticed that when this vehicle first came to me, I also noticed that they replaced the tie rod and the steer link with the heavy duty ones. So those are the heavy duty ones, either from Marlin Crawler or Trail Gear, which are much more bigger. So that's the only really aftermarket part besides the ARB. During the time of the wreck too, we also noticed that when I got done installing the new hood wouldn't close, or it wouldn't latch. And what happened was, what I ended up doing is that this bracket here, you can see I put a few spacers because this bracket was too far inward and I had to push this bracket outward. So I put like maybe that white spacer and a little washer, and just that little bit of a difference, we were able to now lock the hood. So there you go. This is the 1996 triple lock Land Cruiser. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Clean classic. Timeless.